Hi everyone, and welcome to lesson 7 of the coronavirus revision maths with me, Mr. Bailey. Hopefully you're all still doing well, hopefully you're all still staying safe, and not too bothered about being stuck indoors all day, okay? Hopefully not, driving each other crazy too much, especially your parents, okay? So today we're going to be learning column subtraction, okay? So column subtraction is one of those things that everyone really enjoys the addition side of it, finds it really easy. As soon as we move on to subtraction, they find it a lot more difficult. So one of the things that we try to do is do it in steps, in stages, as there are a few places where children might make mistakes. If you haven't watched the last lesson, which I think I called lesson 7, but it was lesson 6, the subtraction facts, please make sure you do those first, because without that knowledge, you will not be able to do this when we move on. Okay, so I'm going to start off quite simple. We're going to start off with a column subtraction of a 6-digit number where we don't have to exchange any numbers, where the top number that we're subtracting from is bigger than the number we're subtracting. And that's for every single number. Okay. Then we're going to move and show you how we would exchange 1. So it doesn't matter where the number would be, where one number on the top is smaller than the number we're subtracting away from it. Then we'll try with 2 in different places or 3 in different places. And then finally we'll move on to the most difficult, which is exchanging to exchange again, or borrowing to borrow again. Okay. Parents, I know you've probably been taught this method anyway. When you were at school, you probably use it on a daily basis or regularly anyway. So please support children as and when you need to. And hopefully it's similar to the method that we're going to teach you here. Okay. So on the board here, I've just put a quite simple one. We need to remember again when we're not just focusing on this number here, for example, it's not a 9 take away 6. It is 9,000 take away 6,000. If we use that vocabulary, then especially if we're doing things mentally, we're going to find it a lot easier. Okay, so again, always start with the lowest digit. This one is the ones. 4 minus 3 is 1. 7 minus 6 is, 7 minus 1 is 6. Gave you the answer there. 6 minus 2, 600 minus 200, 400. 9 minus 6, 9,000 minus 6,000, 3,000. 80,000 minus 50,000, 30,000. And 700,000 minus 300,000 would be 400,000. So the answer to 789,674, take away 356,213 would be 433,461. Okay. If you're finding that quite difficult, if you'd like to practice some more, now is your chance to roll some dice, generate some numbers. Just make sure that you have the bigger numbers at the top, smaller numbers at the bottom, just so that it's quite easy to subtract. You're not just going to be generating any numbers that involves any exchanging just yet. Okay. So if you can do that, now we're looking at what we do when we just exchange one number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just with a 2-digit number to make it quite simple, and then we'll incorporate this into a 6-digit number afterwards. Okay. So if I had the number 71, take away 48. Okay. Yes, I could probably do this mentally. Yes, I could probably do this using another method, but just for the benefit of this, I'm just going to show you how we exchange and why we do it as well. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is 1 unit, or 1 1. I'll put it over here, but I'm ignoring these columns for the moment. 1 1 take away 8. I can't do 1 take away without leaving with a negative number. It's wrong to say that I can't do it, because obviously 1 minus 8 is negative 7. However, in this situation here, we're just going to say that we can't do it to meet the needs of this question. Okay. So what I have is I've got 71, and I want to be able to take away 8 from that 71. I can do that because it is above 8. So what I need to do now is I need to exchange. So what I'm going to do is partition my 71 into 60, or 6 tens, and 11 ones. So if I look at 60 add 11, it is still 71. All I'm doing is I'm splitting the number in different ways so that I can actually subtract it using the column method. I've now got 6 tens and 11 ones. 11 ones take away 8, I can do. It would be 3. And now it should be quite simple for the rest of the calculation if I don't need to exchange again. So 6 tens take away 4 tens is 2 tens. So the answer would be 23. If I was to put this somewhere different, So I'm going to put it back into a six-digit number now. And then we're going to see how we get on. If you're finding this quite tricky, if you'd like to have a go at some of it yourself, please pause the video, try some yourself until you can nail it. Once you know it and you can do it easily and you know exactly what you need to do, then you've understood it and you can move on. If you're looking at that going, actually, I'm not quite sure what I need to do, please practice now. Okay. So if I put that into a six-digit number, I could have 769138. Take away 427. Make that an 8 actually, just to see what happens. 721. Hopefully now by looking at the numbers you can see which column the exchange is going to have to happen in. Okay, 8 is bigger than 1, 3 is bigger than 2, 1 is smaller than 7, so it's this column here we're going to keep an eye on and see what happens. Okay, 8 take away 1 is 7, 3 take away 2 is 1, 1 take away 7 I can't do. A lot of children here would straight away put a 6 in here. And the reason is because they're seeing numbers 7 and 1 and mentally subtracting 1 from the other in their head. Actually, it depends. I can add in each way, but when I subtract it has to be in order. So if I was to do 7 add 1, it would be 8. I could do 1 add 7 to make 8. It doesn't matter which way I do it. But here I have to do the same order, 1 minus 7. So if you think it's 6, unfortunately it's not quite correct. So what I need to do here is to exchange. I go over to the next column, make this so it's 8,000, add 1,100, or just 8 add 11 if I need to partition it without using the columns. So take away 1 from this, add it over here. 11 take away 7, 1100s take away 700s is 400, so definitely not 6. Now I can do 8 take away 8, which is 0. Sorry if the whiteboard is being a bit wobbly at the moment. Might have to get some blue tack to try and secure it a little bit. 6 take away 2 is 4, and 7 take away 4 is 3. Keep giving the answers before I'm actually reading the questions out. So that's how we would exchange once. Okay, so what you can do now is to generate some numbers where you have one example of the number at the top, which is bigger than the number at the bottom. Keep practicing that and it should help you to basically build that confidence up when we try these bigger numbers as well. Okay, I'm just going to wipe the board, so hopefully you can have a bit of chance to do some of your own now. So what we're going to do now is where we do 2 exchanges, and we're going to do them both. It doesn't matter if we do the method we've just done here. You could do, if you have one exchange in the tens, one in the 10,000s, that's absolutely fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 exchanges in a row and just see what happens. We're not going to make it so we have to exchange over 2 columns, but looking at the 1 individual rows, we'll do that. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Okay. So if I had the number 571,298, take away 333,555, for example. Don't know why I did that number, just came up. But you'll see what I mean in a moment for when we need to exchange twice. So 8 take away 5, is 8 bigger than 5? Can I, if I had 8, could I subtract 5 from it? Yes. It's 3. 9 take away 5 is 4. 9 tens take away 5 tens, 4 tens. 2 take away 5, I cannot do. Okay, 200 take away 500. If I had 200 sweets, can I eat 500? Well, no, I can't. So what I'm going to have to do is to exchange. I'm going to take 1 off the thousands column and put my 1,000 into my hundreds column, or 1 from here, make it into a 12 into that column. So I've swapped my 1,000 and 200 into 1,200s. It's still the same, it's still 1,200. All I'm doing is I'm just moving the number around into different columns. So partition it in different ways. Okay? 12 take away 5, can I, give you the answer again then. 12 take away 5, can I do it? Yep, 7. 0 take away 3 is 3. Well, actually it's not. I can't do it. A lot of you would have probably agreed with me straight away then because you've seen 3 and 0, subtract 1 from the other. Again, we cannot do that. So really, really important is we make sure that we always look at the top number, take away the bottom number. So 0 take away 3, I can't do. So again, I'm going to have to do an exchange here. You don't have to draw these rings around it. I'm just doing it to highlight it so you can see it from here. Okay. I've got 70,000 I turn it into 60,000 and 10,000. I can now do 10, subtract 7, give you the answer again, subtract 3, which is 7, 6, subtract 3, which is 3, didn't give you the answer that time, which is coincidence, and 5, subtract 3, which is 2. Okay, as soon as you know how to exchange, you can do as many of these numbers as you need to that will always require you to exchange. If you're rolling your own number, the only number that actually needs to be bigger than the other number is this first digit here. So these numbers here, this number always has to be bigger than this one. Otherwise, you can't subtract it without it being a negative number. So now would be a good time to pause the video, make up some of your own by rolling dice, generating numbers online, whatever you need to do. I would avoid any zeros at the moment though. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why in the next part, which is the hardest part of this. If you can do the next part, then you should be able to use column subtraction for any single question that might ever come up in your lifetime. Okay, so give the video a pause now, go try some of your own numbers. Off you go. So hopefully by now you've had the chance to try some of your own, and I'm just going to give you one example now for you to try some afterwards of how we'll do a double exchange. So double exchange is when we need to borrow something from the next column, but there's not anything there. Okay, I'm going to show you first of all in a 3-digit number, and then I'll show you again in the context of a 6-digit number. Okay, so if we have the number 701, take away 398. Okay, if you saw this and you saw this in the question, I'd hope that you would use common sense and say that it's actually a lot easier to do this mentally than doing this method. And we're going to see why in a moment. If I was to do it mentally, 398 add 2 takes me to 400. If I add 3, it takes me to 401, and then I'd have to have 300. So it should be 303, but we'll see what happens afterwards. So 1 take away 8. Can I do it? Well, not unless I want a negative number, the answer would be -7. But in the context of this, no, I can't. So I need to borrow 1 from my next column. Now we can see the problem. Okay, this 0 here means I cannot exchange from it. So this is now where it gets really, really confusing, because we have to exchange once to then exchange again, or then borrow once to borrow again, depending on what language you use. So here, if I look at my hundreds, I have 600 or 700. I can partition that into 600 and 10 tens, or 600 add 100, but the 100 has been placed in the tens column. Yep. So 600 and 10 tens and 1 still makes 701. I'm just partitioning it in different ways. Now that I've done that, I can go back to the start. Can I do 1 take away 8? No, I can't. Can I borrow 1 from this column here? Well, now I've got 10. Yes, I can. I'm now going to ignore this step and ignore that I've done that for the first time. Very, very important to make sure I'm putting my 1 in here and I'm remembering to, otherwise I'm not going to get the right answer anyway. I've now got 10 tens. I want to subtract 1 10 to make 9 and bring it across to make 11. So now what I've done is I've partitioned my 701 into 600 and 90 and 11. If I add them together, it still makes 701. I'm not changing my number. My number is still the same. I'm just partitioning it in different ways. Okay, really important to understand that, otherwise I might get a bit confused. So now what I've done is actually I've changed the number from here, borrowed it down again. So I've had to borrow again. Okay, now I can do 11 take away 8, which is 3, 9 take away 9 is 0, and 6 subtract 3 is 3. So 303, like we worked out mentally earlier. So this is the difficult part, and it's because there's so many steps where you can go wrong here. Knowing that you have to subtract to exchange from here to go down, making sure that you remember to put the numbers in is obviously quite a big misconception children forget to do. And then borrowing again. It's always after you do one step. So for example, when I exchanged the 7 into 700 and 600 and 100, I didn't then subtract 1 straight away and go to the next step. I started again. 1 subtract 8, can I do it? No, now I need to exchange. So it's all about going back step by step. Okay, so for the last part of the video, if you want to try some of these just 3-digit numbers, make sure you've got a 0 in the middle, and make sure that these two numbers are both larger than these two. Feel free to make some up yourself. Okay. So in the context of a 6-digit number, we'll see what happens here. So if we had the number 7,000, I'm going to change it slightly, so I'm going to go in the middle. 800, so 781,294, subtract 358,712. Okay. Already I've made a mistake here because I've got a 0 in. So the whole point of this is to have the zeros that we then borrow exchange from. So if I change this number here to a 0, if you need to have, for this to work, you need to have a 0 followed by a small number next to it. And the reason is when we actually have maths, this is the hardest way to do it. Okay, this will be one of the hardest questions we come across that we can't really do mentally. If we made this 700,000, take away this number, we would have to do a lot of exchanging, but then you'd probably use a different method in order to do so. But we might give that a go at the end and maybe give it to you as a challenge, see what happens. So 4 take away 2, I can do, it's 2. 9 take away 1, can I do it? Yes, it's 8. 2 subtract 7, can I do it? No. I need to exchange, well, I can't, so I'm going to exchange from this column and put my 1 there. So I'm exchanging my 80,000 into 70,000 and 10,000. Still adds up to make 80,000, still the same number. I'm just partitioning it in 2 different ways. Now I've got 10,000s, take away 8,000. No, I haven't. I'm going back to the start. Now I've got 200s, take away 700s. Can I do it? No. So now what I need to do is exchange from my 10,000 over here. So I'm changing my 10,000, excuse me, something stuck in my throat, from 10,200 to 9,000 and 1,200. Again, still the same number, just split differently. Now I've got 1,200s, take away 700s, it's 500s. 9,000 take away 8,000 is 1,000. 7,000 take away 5,000 is 2,000. 700,000, get my numbers mixed up. 700,000 minus 300,000, 400,000. So my answer would be 421,582. Okay. So what you could do now is try and roll some of your own, stick a few zeros in there as well. And if you do want to challenge and you're definite and you want to do it this method, then try something like this. So 700,800. Take away this number, see what happens. You could also change this to a 0 if you want to. There will be a lot of exchanging going on. Just take it step by step, see how you get on. Okay, right, that's all from me. This is my last lesson that I'll be uploading until after Easter. So hopefully keeping yourself busy. If anything you're not quite sure on, rewatch the videos, go back over it, keep doing it little and often until you feel a lot more secure with it. And that goes with your spellings and spelling frame as well. Keep practicing them, keep going on it. Okay, right, enjoy your Easter. Hopefully you have lots of time to rest and recover, and hopefully you all stay well and stay safe.